Well, it's in red. You're going first.
I didn't know you turned it on. Hi, we're John and Helen, and this is the dog. And this month's VANOTHER Collective vlog, is it a vlog?
I guess so.
Is about how to save money when you're camping and motorhoming. We've tried to come up with our top 10, but we've only made 9. Still, who's counting?
So with that, let's get on with it, and we'll tell you what works for us. Maybe it'll work for you.
France is fab for camping in general and motorhoming specifically, from the hundreds of unspoilt, often empty beaches on the west coast to the mountains in the east and everything in between. Campsites are plentiful and generally a little cheaper than the UK. Municipal campsites are great because they offer great value. They're not always as posh as the private ones, but think of them as 3-star instead of 5-star. They're great value, but you tend to need to book them, especially for peak weeks.
So then we get on to the airs, and if you've not heard of these are official overnight motorhome parking places. Basically, they're mainly provided by the local municipality because they're clever enough to realise that if people come into their area, they're going to spend money there.
They tend to be on a first come first served basis, and cost a few euros a night. Most have fresh water and wastewater facilities, rubbish bins. Some have electricity, some don't. You just have to have a look and see what the options are, really. You can usually stay between 24 and 48 hours, sometimes a little bit longer. The downside of airs is that you can't guarantee your space. So if you leave, it might not be there when you come back, and you tend not to be able to put your awning out and chairs and barbecues, and it's not a pitch, it's a space.
So it's not a hard and fast rule, but quite often the spaces are so small that you can't anyway.
Some of them are more like car parks, some of them are like proper campsites.
There is Camping Car Park, who are kind of a hybrid in that you can book ahead and you're allowed to put chairs and tables and awnings and stuff out, but they're still the same price as an air. So that's something to look out for as well.
Okay, next tip, go to Scotland. Wild camping is enshrined in Scottish law, but the code doesn't specifically allow vehicles access to camp or stay that impact on the local environment. That's a mouthful.
It is really, isn't it? But we were trying to be really specific. Basically, yeah, you can park it pretty much anywhere as long as you don't mess it up. But remember, it's kind of, you're there at grace and favour, and you could get moved on if you park in the wrong place. We'll link the rules down at the bottom, somewhere there.
But it's brilliant. Wild camping in Scotland is brilliant, as long as you remember your jumper and your raincoat.
Yeah.
Oh, and a midge hat.
Yeah. And no, we're not putting the photos of us in midge hats up. That was bad news. Our next tip is pub stops. You may or may not be aware of these. They're brilliant, mainly for motorhomers, sorry caravanners. You guys get left out mostly here. But across the UK, there are some great pub stops. There's maps that are freely available that list where they are, show you all the updates. The basic behind it is it's a symbiotic relationship. You know, you help the pub, they help you. They generally ask that if you come and stay overnight, that you'll eat in the pubs the days you're there. A couple of them charge a small fee for overnight. I think we stayed at one in Kielder, I think, and it was a tenner.
It was interesting.
It was the maddest pub we've ever been in our life.
It was definitely interesting.
It was a locals pub for local people, that's for sure. But again, you know, where else are you going to stay in a national park for a tenner a night, including electric? So, you know, it was really good. We'll link to a map down below as well, which shows where they are, and so enjoy them. Great way of staying overnight somewhere if you're travelling through the UK.
Okay, next tip, park for night. This is an app and there's a website, and we use it all the time. It's really, really good. There's a free part to it, and you can look stuff up, or you can pay a small subscription and you get less adverts and more information. Well worth paying for spots all over Europe, basically.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I can tell you that it's €9.99 for a year.
Is that
to
all?
renew it, because I've just renewed ours
Cool.
today, this morning in fact. So there we go. Next tip is join the ACSI. That's these here. It's a Dutch-based camping club, basically. They are signed up with campsites throughout Europe, including the UK, and they give you cheap off-peak pitches. It goes from about €13 a night up to around about 20. They're only available off-peak, but you can get considerable savings because they include your camper van or your caravan, 2 people, the dog, an awning, electricity for the night. And certainly in France, all those things can actually add up quite quickly. And you look at the headline price of €25 a night, and then €6 for a dog, and €6 for electricity, and all this kind of stuff, and it gets expensive quite quickly. So 4 nights on that, and you can save your membership fee back in one stay. So well worth
a look.
Worth a look.
Shop at Lidl's. Shop at Lidl's because Lidl's are cheap. The other thing is a lot of Lidl's will let you stay overnight in their car park. Hello, dog.
Dog's just come in.
So although it's a bit of a go and shop at this supermarket, actually it has benefits if you want to stay the night there, or arrive late, stay overnight, and then pop in for your breakfast in the morning. So
awesome bakeries. Bread's always freshly cooked. Pastilla de nata are fabulous. Seek out and join online forums. Obviously YouTube is a source of information for everything and anyone, but there are loads of motorhoming and caravanning groups on Facebook. As with every Facebook thing, you have to trawl through a lump of moss first to find the interesting things, but there are some genuinely great groups with some really useful information for self-builders, information for people heading to Europe for the first time. Hey, I've never been to Spain before, what should I look out for? These are great because a simple thing like that can save you €130 in a fine, because Spain quite likes to fine people. As I say, YouTube is brilliant. One of our own collective members put a great video up about sorting out a gearbox leak on a Ducato, which would probably cost you £500 if you took it into the garage. So I'll put a link to that down the bottom as well.
Okay, electrics is our next tip. Basically, get solar panels if you can afford it and can do it. Free energy, definitely worth it.
Who doesn't love free energy? What you need to do though is don't assume that you need to buy the most expensive all singing, all dancing setup. Have 800 watts of solar on your roof and Victron chargers and massive great lithium ion batteries at £2,000 a piece. They're crazy expensive, and quite often you'll find that you don't need them.
Basically work out what you can afford, how much you use your van, and then work out the logistics of what's the best thing for you. Basically,
remember, these things are peddled on YouTube by people who have got an agenda. They either genuinely live full time in their van, and you have a reliance at that point, or they're being paid by the company to advertise their parts. So you have to really work out what your energy drain is, how long you can last, and then size your system correctly. And it's very rare that we'll be off grid, any of us, for 5 to 6 days without even running your engine, because don't forget, your B2B or your split charger is going to charge your battery the minute you start your engine as well. So bear that in mind. Get a good solar setup. Don't spend £1 million on it. Save you lots of money.
Next, your favourite toy.
Oh yeah, got another prop. My favourite toy is a Ridge Monkey.
And we're not being sponsored by them.
Brilliant. And no sponsorship here, worth every penny. Absolutely the best cheese and ham toasties you'll ever make. But as Helen pointed out to me the other day, it splits in half. So they're not particularly big, but all of a sudden you've got 2 pans in one. So, you know, it's
space
great.
Saving.
It's brilliant space saving. Doesn't take up a lot of space on a camping hob either. So, you know, especially if there's 2 of you, absolutely brilliant for cooking a meal in just a ridge monkey. Cut it in half. You've got 2 pans. What could be better?
And our last tip, is it the last one?
I think so.
Yep.
Drive slower.
Remember, it's a holiday. It's not a race. And unless you're racing to get a ferry, usually an extra half an hour here and an extra half an hour there won't make that much difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there's loads of evidence that shows slow down from 70 miles an hour to 60 and you'll save sort of 10 to 15% in fuel, which, you know, that's free fuel, basically. It's as simple as that. Unless you've got an absolute reason to drive with your hair on fire, don't. Certainly in Europe, avoid the toll roads. They are getting more expensive by the day, almost at the moment. Yes, you can get there quickly, but they are disgustingly expensive at times.
And you don't see the countryside.
Where we are, the countryside's stunning. Drive a little bit slower. Drive on the A and B roads and enjoy your holiday. So much better.
Right, so that's it. That's our 9 top 10 tips.
Oh, hang on a minute. 10. Watch the other VANOTHER Collective videos. There you go. That's our 10th
That's our
tip.
number 10. Now we have 10 top tip.
10 tips. So lots and lots of options for saving money coming from the rest of the collective.
Thanks for watching. As usual, if you found the video useful, consider giving us a like.
I like, because we're likeable people.
We're lovely.
Well, she is. I'm not. And all the usual stuff. Press the bell, hit subscribe, write something below because we'll probably read it. If you're lucky, the boss may even reply. Thanks for taking the time and watching the video.